Winning Well, A Manager's Guide to Getting Results Without Losing Your Soul, by Karin and David Dye. Business book readathon. Lots of management books, lots of business books. I picked this one specifically because it looked like it would be a good management book, and I think it is. It's very much, if you can turn off your brain and all of the fears and egos and strangeness that controls it, and just do the things that make a non-shitty work environment, this is your guide to that. This is a good common sense book kind of thing. It's got some examples, it's got chapter headings, and I want to recommend it, I really do, but it's kind of hard to do when absolutely nothing about it has stuck with me. It's just gone. It's just smooth. And I think the reasons for that, I mean, part is I'm not a manager, and I hope to never become a manager because the anxiety management would be terrible. Another part of it is that I feel like my particular group at work, our department, is a very good and healthy group full of people I trust and respect. So I wasn't exactly looking for tips for any of my coworkers any more than I was looking for tips for me. I mean, in theory, I read things like this so that I can, be informed on the other side of the equation, but I didn't pick up anything like this. And it's also possible the reason why none of this stuck with me would be the mild physical pain I have been in. Temporary crown. Way more obnoxious than I remember it being. It's not that bad. This is like half dose of aspirin makes me happy again pain. I'm just kind of, yeah. So basically my brain has been like dying for things to distract myself from the mild ache that my mouth has become over the last week or so, and this has not really supplied enough of the distractibility. I read the whole thing. I really did. Maybe some skimming happened. I mean, when you get a section with lots of like big bold headings and a short paragraph explaining the big bold heading, I tend to just read the headings and nothing else. I mean, what would you do in a case like that? Look at these headings. I really do believe this book is good. It's all like, hey, maybe your problems is communicating things, and here's how to deal with things so that you don't just put people in a defensive place, and is silliness appropriate? Yes. Here's how you can use silliness to make your work environment not awful. It's so good that, in fact, I was shocked that this was published this year. I mean, I would have assumed it was all over the training materials for, like, my own manager and other managers in our company. But no, it's very recent. But I was, like, half gone while reading this. It took me forever to realize that the reason why the names David and Karin kept repeating in the examples that they give is because those are the authors. Like, I genuinely thought that they were the stock... the names have been changed to protect the identity of the individuals' things. I'm not at all sure I would have had something else to say if I had managed to record this review yesterday like I intended. Batteries ran out in the thing. Guess I actually use a camera that takes batteries instead of charging in the wall. It's a lovely little thing. So, I mean, it sounds like damning with faint praise, the fact that this went completely clean glass, nothing to hold on to, but it's not, actually. If this was infuriating, I'd be latching onto that. If this was super good, I'd be gushing, but this is just like, this is the manual you want for managing, for trying to lead a team. It is good stuff. There was one example in there somewhere that pissed me off. I don't remember what it was at this point, but, so like, don't take this endorsement as an endorsement of the politics of every single example in here, but you could do a hell of a lot worse. There's a lot of business and leadership books that are full of like ego and bravado and that sort of like masculine puff up kind of bullshit. This is not one of those. This will actually help. This will help. So I think, but I'm not certain, that I can finish this whole project, get up to $200 with one more book. This is a math of approximates. This one was kind of almost 300 pages. And the next two I selected are both kind of almost 200 pages, so hopefully that means that I can reach the kind of sort of 500 that I kind of sort of needed at my last page count by only reading one of these books. If I have to read two, I will go insane. Because, like I mentioned, actual physical pain. This whole project ends the day after I get my permanent crown added in, and I'm going to guess that I'm not going to be out of pain at that point. So, here are the other things I picked up. John C. Maxwell's Today Matters, 12 Daily Practices to Guarantee Tomorrow's Success, includes in-depth self-discovery exercises by the New York Times bestselling author of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership and Thinking for a Change. The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is a book that's all over our shelf for summer reading program and that I've been avoiding like the plague. So I'm not sure why I picked this up. Maybe because it seemed like a slightly different topic. Something all about motivation and getting stuff done. But it also looks like it might be painful. Meanwhile, here on bright green, Decisive by Chip Heath and Dan Heath. And I picked this specifically because I read a book by these authors in a previous summer reading program, Summer, and quite liked it. This is the safety book. This is the It Will Not Hurt Too Bad book, I am almost certain. And I'm tempted to go with this one because I'm running out of time here. I mean, it's not the end of the world if I don't hit 200. It's not like I won't get paid for the work I've done if I don't reach the cap. It's late and I'm doing this last minute. My voice is awful. Right, I need to recommend something. I mean, I don't recommend a temporary crown. Except that you kind of, if you're getting a temporary crown, then it doesn't matter if you want it or not, you need it. Oh. I can recommend this one. I've mentioned that I'm a big fan of podcasts. And if you're a big fan of podcasts, you've almost certainly heard of Welcome to Night Vale. In fact, I'm wearing a Welcome to Night Vale shirt right now. This is my Desert Bluffs shirt. In addition to its eye-searing yellow brightness, I get the best compliments on this shirt. There's nothing that quite matches a day when someone is handing you your takeout, and you're expecting them to say something like, "Hey, you got the soup, right?" But what they in fact say is, "Your shirt is terrifying." Best compliment I've ever gotten. I did this painting based on Welcome to Night Vale. There's a red light up on the mountain. So, of course, I definitely recommend the podcast Welcome to Night Vale, and I think I recommend listening to an episode or two of that before reading this, because one of the things Welcome to Night Vale does, a lot of Welcome to Night Vale comes across as poetry. So I recommend listening to that first so you get an idea of how this is supposed to sound. Or, in fact, there is an audiobook of this, all read by the same narrator as the entire podcast, which I've kind of been salivating over. But I really wanted to read this because I was very curious as to whether or not that writing style would work in print. And while there are sections that do feel a little bit disjointed without hearing them in Cecil's voice, there are other aspects of this book which are simply delightful. It's a setting and a story that are surreal and strange and absurd, but the characters and their emotions and their struggles wind up feeling very authentic. Okay, I just made like 3 attempts to explain the premise of this novel, and they have all fucking failed. All you need to know is that Diane Creighton is a member of the PTA and a single mother and is awesome. And Jackie, whose last name I've forgotten, is 19 and has been 19 for years, even though she owns a pawn shop, and is her own business person. And there is one joke in the book which is not explained until the very last page and actually had me laugh out loud, because it totally got me the way it was supposed to. If that's not a good recommendation for a book, then there's nothing I can do. Oh, and I might as well. The creators of Welcome to Night Vale have launched 2 new podcasts, one of which, Alice Isn't Dead, is similarly surreal, but a lot more of a straight horror story. It's a lot more tense, and I highly recommend it. The other podcast, which launched more recently, is Within the Wires, which is a set of relaxation and meditation tapes from some kind of totalitarian, terrifying society. And while they're very fascinating, I actually may not continue to listen to them because being told to relax and breathe actually makes me super tense, and the very nature of those tapes is that they are supposed to subversively make you tense, so Yeah, not hitting quite the right frames, but they're fascinating, and I recommend checking them out if you think they sound interesting. Welcome to Night Vale. Alice Isn't Dead. Within the Wires. And Welcome to Night Vale, the novel. There is another Welcome to Night Vale, the novel that is currently in production, I guess I should say, in writing, as well as a pair of collections of episode scripts. So don't get those confused. I recommend listening to the episodes if you can, because half the joy is listening to Cecil Baldwin's voice as the character of Cecil Palmer. Just as half of the joy of listening to Alice Isn't Dead is the voice of Jessica Nicole. Go fill your life with podcasts and love and things that are not management books or dental problems. Is it weird that my listening of choice while getting my teeth drilled is Welcome to Night Vale? It's hypnotic and soothing, and yet recognizes a world in which there is pain and suffering and things are horribly unfair. I listen to it to fall asleep some nights too. Until next time. Hey, guess who bought a tripod?